My grandma used to say in her thick Caribbean accent, "Baby, God's been talking to you your whole life and will speak to you your whole life long. You just gotta learn how to listen, how to recognize that voice." I was young, and I've spent decades trying to figure out what she's meant. She was my first theologian, her and my sweet mom. They taught me God doesn't just speak from pulpits. God speaks in kitchens and on bended knees and in gardens and at the beach, and in that quiet knowing that rises when you're doing the dishes and suddenly you just know God is here, and you know in your heart that God is speaking to you. But somewhere along the way, I forgot. I learned to distrust that knowing, ask everyone else what God was saying instead of listening for myself. And here's what I've discovered. This whole thing, learning to hear God, learning to trust yourself, learning to live in relationship with mystery. It's not a skill you master once and you're done. It's a lifelong journey, a relationship. And like all relationships, it takes work. So welcome to Guided. I'm Brenda Bertrand, and this podcast is about the thing that's fascinated me my whole life, how we deepen our relationship with God. That's the heart of it. Here's what I've been watching my entire life. People reaching for God. The dynamic of being in relationship with something, someone who is both mystery and utterly real, who can feel so tangible one moment and so distant the next. And just like all relationships, it's complicated. It's beautiful. It can be painful and disappointing, and it requires work, and it changes us. Right now, people are Googling, what's God's will for me? How do I hear God's voice? What's mine to do? What's going on in the world? Does God know? Does God care? And underneath those questions is a deeper one. How do I be in relationship with God? How do I navigate this mystery? How do I stay connected when it feels like God is silent? How do I trust when I can't see? And that's what this podcast is really about. Not just discernment as a technique, but as a relationship itself. And that sacred dance of reaching for God and being held by God, of speaking and listening, of doubt and faith, of disappointment and hope, of noise and silence. Here's the thing, so many of us have been taught about this relationship in ways that have harmed us, ways that kept us bound by poor theology, by ideas about who God is and who we are that just aren't true. So this is the conversation I long to have and have been often afraid to have. I think we're all ready. How can we actually relate to God, to our own souls, to each other? How do we listen? How do we respond? How do we discover our own voice in the midst of it all? Because your voice and God's voice, friend, they're not separate. They're in conversation. Well, let me tell you who I am so you know who's walking with you. I'm seminary trained. I've been a chaplain, a pastoral counselor, a spiritual director. I've studied Ignatian spirituality and discernment. But more than that, I've walked with countless people through the messy, beautiful reality of trying to be in relationship with God. And I don't lead with credentials because I'm not above you, right? I'm alongside you. I'm a fellow pilgrim. I'm learning and unlearning right alongside you. And my mom and my grandma, yeah, they were my first theologians. They were the first models I had of people truly connected to God, each in their own way and imperfectly. They were very human and yet so beautifully longing for and reaching for God in their daily lives. And what I've learned from watching them, from walking with people, from my own journey, is that this relationship with God is lifelong and it informs everything. How we see ourselves, how we see each other, how we see the world. And there's healing in it, and learning and unlearning about God and ourselves and our world. And so I want to share from that place, from my own joys and grief, my losses and hope, not to force you to believe what I believe, not at all, but to invite us all to deepen our own relationship in our own way and to imagine it differently. Because I've lived life, so have you, right? With all the heartbreak and all the grace, and I'm not afraid to hold both the gifts and the complete mystery of it all. So as a pilgrim, I'm walking alongside you. We're all being guided. by an unseen hand, and we're all walking each other home through this one sacred life and path and journey on earth. So why does this conversation matter right now? Because we're all going through something politically, socially, culturally. There's uncertainty, there's chaos, there's fear and frenzy, there's hope and possibility. And what we need are people who have real relationships with God, not performed ones, not perfect ones, real ones, people who know how to listen when everything is loud and who know how to stay connected when everything feels disconnected. We need people who are learning what's theirs to do. The question isn't just what is God saying to me, it's who are we becoming individually and together? What are we living and leaving for the next generation? How are we walking each other home? And to answer that, we need to go deeper into relationship, deeper into listening, deeper into mystery. We need to listen to God and to ourselves and to each other and to creation, because everything is connected. Our relationship with God isn't separate from our relationship with ourselves and with each other and with the world. It's all one sacred dance. So here's what we're doing together. This podcast is about deepening our relationship with God and watching how we and others do that, how we listen, how we recognize God's voice. How do we stay in conversation with God when God feels silence, when we're disappointed, when we don't understand, when we're angry, when we're grieving? And second, how do we discover our own voice? Because you're not just listening to God, you're in dialogue. Your particular way of being, your gifts, your questions, those matter. They're part of this relationship. And lastly, how do we stay connected through doubt and faith, through clarity and fog, through joy and grief, through the everyday sacred mess of being human? So this is about spirituality, the lived reality of being in relationship with God, the beautiful mystery of God. And yes, we'll talk about real life, about current events, and relationships and work and grief, because this relationship with God, it informs everything. So here's what you need to know, friend. This topic has fascinated me my whole life, watching how people reach for God, how we navigate this relationship with mystery. And I want to share what I've discovered, not just from my own journey, from years of research, from wrestling with scripture, from conversation with people who've taught me more than I could have learned alone. And of course, from what God reveals of God's self in our trying to relate, because that's the beautiful thing. God meets us in the reaching. So this isn't all about me. This is about us accompanying each other, swapping stories, learning and unlearning together the awe and wonder of actually experiencing God. We're keeping these short, sustainable, so you can integrate what we're exploring into your real life. In season 1, we're learning the language of this relationship, like how we listen, how we trust, how we move in this world, in our relationship with God and each other. And in season 2, we're taking it into real life, relationships, work, grief, the chaos we're living through right now. But always, the heart is, how do we deepen our relationship with God? How do we listen and respond? How do we walk each other home? That's my lifelong work, and I'm so glad we're doing it together. Before we close, let's breathe together. Here with you. Notice what's stirring as you listen to what I've shared. What wants your attention? Let it settle. Hold your truth as sacred. And here's my blessing. May you deepen your relationship with the one who made you. May you trust you're not walking alone. May you discover we're all walking each other. You are guided, you are held, you are home. Thank you for listening to Guided. If you want to go deeper into this relationship, join me in The Guided Life, a 30-day experience in sacred listening with guidance and community. You can learn more at brendabertrand.com. Talk soon.